Welcome back, adventurer. Today's creature has been described as a ghost vampire that can control the weather. If that tease has filling your pumpkins, then come, pull up a stool at Creature Tavern. Happy Halloween, adventurer! You know, this is the one time of year we don't need to clean the tavern. People think we've done this on purpose. You dust the webs off that stool there, I'll grab you a pumpkin ale, and let's crack on with tales of the Strigoi from Romanian Folklore. The Strigoi, plural striga, or strigacia, if you're dealing with the female form, is a cryptid with more than a passing association with vampirism, witchcraft, and the restless dead. The earliest recorded written mention of a Strigoi is in the account of Giogrando Alovic, 1579 to 1656. Often cited as the first real vampire. According to the story, Grando rose from his grave 16 years after death to terrorise his former village, embodying what would become one of Eastern Europe's most enduring vampiric archetypes. Unlike most creatures with just the one meaning behind the name, lore of Strigoi splits into two main types. The Strigoi viu, which is the living Strigoi. They're a regular human, much like yourself, only born under certain dark omens. And the Strigoi mort, commonly referred to as the dead Strigoi. This is the most dangerous variant, a corpse that wakes from its grave. For either version, there's a few ways one can recast themselves as Strigoi. For the living, it was thought those who lived a sinful life, died unmarried, were executed for perjury, committed suicide, perished under a witch's curse, or born the seventh child of the same sex. Anyone who's placed a tick next to one of those would likely convert or otherwise return as Strigoi. With regards to the visual impression, Strigoi work like talented chefs, pairing the flavours of human familiarity with the spice of a tortured corpse. At first glance, one might mistake Strigoi for a traveller who needs to spend a little more time in the sun. But upon closer inspection, notes of the macabre begin to reveal themselves. Skin, waxen, and dull pale. Veins like fine blue thread strewn across the entire form. And eyes, deep set and luminous, reflect like an animal's at night. The mouth too is a bit of a giveaway. It's wide, likely able to fit an entire fist in with ease. And the lips are dark and cracked, revealing teeth long and pointed. Especially the canines, I'm told. A fine layer of hair runs along the spine and arms, thickening near the shoulders and around the neck, giving Strigoi this half-remembered animal shape. And the fingers are elongated, ending in curved, folks say, horn-like nails. Tradition also describes Strigoi as bald on the top of their head, and with a vestigial tail covered in hair poking from their bottom. And last there's the smell, but where you'd expect scent of blood, flesh, or bodily stench, you'll find subtle notes of turned earth. A rather pleasant smell, preceding a rather not so pleasant encounter. Strigoi are said to dwell in the remote, shadowed regions of Eastern Europe, especially the rural villages and forested valleys of Romania and the Carpathian Mountains. By day they're said to rest in their own graves, some in abandoned ruins, or just in a hole beneath the cold earth. Or for the living Strigoi, They'll look like an ordinary human being, heading out to the shops, the pharmacy, or maybe spending some time in their local tavern. At night, the locations swap. The living Strigoi tend to spend time in their beds, like any other ordinary human, and the dead wander wherever their hunger takes them. Fields of crops, easily penetratable pens, or to the abodes of their living relatives, for a surprise spot of lunch. I briefly mentioned earlier that Strigoi come in two distinct flavours, living and dead. Let's have a closer read into what to expect with each variant. The living Strigoi, or, well, still living humans, who exhibit supernatural tendencies. At night, their souls leave their bodies, which lie cold and still in what sounds like a rather lovely deep sleep. And while the spirits out wandering the villages and fields, it appears they're drawn to crossroads, primarily, where they gather at midnight with others of their kin, to dance, howl, and feast. It's an unholy gathering, known by many as the Nocturnal Sabbath. Folks tell me their wandering is parasitic, that they drain vitality from those they encounter, leaving victims sickly, crops blighted, and livestock barren. And they can shapeshift too, into all sorts of animals. Dogs, wolves, cats, owls, bats, and who could forget their most precious animal of all, a fireball. Now, depending on who you chat with, they can also appear as columns of mist or light, and through witchcraft-like abilities, they can cast the evil eye, cause nightmares, or appear in mirrors and dreams as omens of misfortune. They can also manipulate the weather. If there's a drought in your village, it means that there's a Strigoi preventing the rain. If it rains hail, that means God is punishing the Strigoi responsible for blocking the rain. And if it rains when the sun's out, it's believed that one of the Strigoi breed has been killed. And this control extends to nocturnal creatures, which they can command or inhabit. And those harmed by them risk not only death, but transformation into another Strigoi. The dead Strigoi are corpses that rise from the grave, emerging apparently between midnight and dawn, making sure to promptly return to their graves before sunrise. Their hauntings often begin at the homes of their living relatives, tapping their bony fingers on the glass or calling out names of kin, and those who answer are fated to die soon after. Unlike the living Strigoi, these revenants are physically tangible. They feed on blood or press upon their sleeping prey, inducing sleep paralysis as a result. They can manifest as mist or wind, slipping through cracks or chimneys, and often shift into similar forms as their living counterparts. Black cats, dogs, wolves, or specific to the dead, insects. The presence of a dead Strigoi is said to ripple through the realm. Livestock will refuse to eat. Any and all milk, whether it's in or outside of an animal, will turn sour. And the hens cease to lay any eggs. Entire villages often attribute plagues, storms, and suspicious or unexpected death to a newly buried Strigoi. And despite their decay, these revenants retain traces of life. Their bodies remain warm, flexible, and ruddy tough. Sometimes, and I'm not sure why this point kept appearing, but breath is said to return after burial. Folks tell me their bodies resist rot, they can speak, and walk the land as if they're alive. You'd reckon that fella in the graveyard was just a run-of-the-mill mourner, till he steps down into the dirt, vanishing back into his grave. Regardless of version, Strigoi are said to be most active during certain sacred times. The new moon, the winter solstice, and St. Andrew's Night on November 30th are said to be popular dates for Strigoi. So to keep all your blood, mana and milk within that fleshy vessel you call a body, stretch those ears and swallow whole this life-saving selection of tips. Firstly, the easiest trick. Strigoi are what you could say allergic to certain herbs and metals used in burial rituals. So keep a little pouch of basil, mugwort, wormwood or rosemary on you, and pop a few iron, steel or silver coins and nails in your pockets too. Also, while you got your shopping list handy, add garlic, holy water, incense and a holy symbol, just to cover all bases. And according to the Dracula scrapbook by Peter Haining from 1976, the meat of a pig killed on the 17th of October, known as the feast day of Saint Ignatius, was a good way to guard against vampires. Though I couldn't nail down how exactly this pig is used. Personally, I suspect either the fat is smeared on the corpse before burial, the meat's eaten by the living to deter the dead's appetite, or the meat's buried with the dead whole. You might need to test that one out yourself. If you're a bit more proactive and you fancy finding a Strigoi before one finds you, then you locate one by taking a 7-year-old boy of, and I quote, purity, dressing him in white, and placing him on a white horse near a graveyard midday. Law states the horse will wander the grounds, only stopping at a grave containing Strigoi. Or according to French geographer Elise Reclus, any deceased with red hair is likely to return a Strigoi. And once one's located, it's time to get your hands dirty. Dig up the suspected Strigoi, or I guess pay a living when I visit, and have a priest read them their burial order. Then pick one of these dispatching methods. Stake the heart with an oak or yew branch, remove and burn the heart, or simple decapitation. Whichever method you pick, just be sure to bury the body face down and nail the coffin heavy. And with that, we're finished with our creature for the day. We've learned that in some cases, the spice cabinet may well be mightier than the sword. Now that bell means it's last call here at Creature Tavern. So grab yourself one more drink for the road. And until next time, tread carefully, adventurer. You never know when you might wander into the weird.